Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today we've got Patty's Kawasaki Mule. It's a diesel and it's a 2510 is the model number. And this thing gets used every day. I believe it's a 2000. I'll check and see if I can find a name on the frame anyplace. But the problem that it's having now, this thing, like I said, it gets used pretty much every day. But there are no brakes on this right now. So Patty said she was driving it the other day and headed down a hill and hit the brakes and had absolutely no pedal whatsoever. So luckily you can use the emergency brake, which you can reach really easily from the driver's seat. So she was able to get this thing safely stopped using the emergency brake. But then she asked me to take a look at it and see what we can find. So we're going to get it pulled in the garage. Let me show you what it's doing. And thanks for watching. So here we are on a little hill headed towards the pond. And let's see, I can grab the emergency brake with my right hand, so I'll try and, or with my left hand, so I'll try and film with the right. There we go. Got it rolling. So we're moving. We're not in gear. Rolling down the hill. Put the brake on fully, and it's not doing anything. We're still rolling. So we're starting to pick up speed. Let me use the emergency brake to get us stopped. So there we were. Like I said, not in gear, just rolling. The regular brake pedal does nothing, and we were headed towards those trees in the pond. So good plan B, having an emergency brake. But let's get this thing pulled in the garage and see what we can find out and see if we can get this thing fixed for her. Like I said, she used this to go get eggs. They use it to get to the back of the property and do anything they need to do there with firewood or cutting up stuff from the trails. Okay, we've got this in the garage. They said that they added brake fluid to the reservoir, which is up here on the dash. Let's take a look at that. They said when they added this brake fluid that the reservoir was completely empty. Okay, let's take a look and see what we got. Okay, and it looks like it's full at the moment. All we can do now is jack it up and take a look at these wheels. Okay, so let's jack this up and get it on some jack stands. And we'll do all four corners and take all the wheels off and see what we've got. Coming down. Okay, we've got it on jack stands, so give it a nice shake. It is solid. Let's get the wheels pulled off and see what's going on with this beast. Okay, and pulling these wheels off just takes a 17mm socket. There's 1 out of 3 so far. These probably not been off since this thing was new. It's full of PV blaster on here. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if you can see that. That just totally bell-shaped that 17mm impact. All right, let's try it the old-fashioned way. Use a breaker bar, and I put the tires back on the ground so they don't spin. Huh, I'm gonna knock these off the jacks. That's ridiculous. Okay, let's try out our 1/2-inch earthquake. That ain't doing nothing. Okay, we're gonna go to the big guns now. I got all of the lugs off on the left side, and then I've only got 2 off on the right side. None of the 4 in the back would budge at all. So we're gonna go a little bigger gun, and I'm gonna figure out heat if this doesn't work. Okay, we're gonna have to heat these up. Okay, let's try out the 3/4 impact on the back here. Nothing. 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 Okay, we're gonna use heat. Okay, I would like one of those induction heat things, but I've got this Bauer heat gun, and let's use it on high and see if we can warm this up. Okay, and I've got this little thermometer, and I'll keep an eye on the heat on this. I can smell something getting hot. Okay, so it looks like about 250 is as hot as I can get. Well, there was a 300. Anyway, this heat gun, like I said, has limits. It's not as good as a torch. I've got a pretty consistent 260 there on the end. There's a 280. So anyway, I don't have it to 300 degrees yet. And I think that's about the limit of what this heat gun will do. Does make it stink, but I'm gonna go ahead and quench this and see what happens. Okay, we'll see if we can get this loosened up. There you go. Heat and quench, baby. Let's try this one, because it's been a while since I quenched it. That one's not giving up the ghost. Well, I guess I will get some more water and heat this bottom one a little more. There's a 300, but I don't think that's consistent. All right, let's try it out. Heat and quench. So there's our heat. There's our quench. Got a lot of sizzling going on there. Put it on here and see what we got. There you go, look at that. Heat and quench absolutely works. I would love to have one of those induction heaters for these. I've seen those work really well. Obviously, just a acetylene torch, or as Terrell calls it, a phetamine torch, would do it. But I don't want to burn my garage down, so I've got a small torch, but I don't use that indoors. All right, let's get the rest of these off. There's the back wheel there is the only other one that was stuck like that. I got the passenger side off already. I won't worry about filming that. I'll meet you back when I get the wheels off. All right, I've got all the wheels off, and I was looking at this, and what I feel like is, because this just happened, right, all of the brake fluid has leaked out someplace. And if the brake fluid leaked out, there should be some sign on these hubs. So I was looking, and this one feels dry, and I don't see anything that's oil. This is water from that heat quench that I just did. The wheel cylinder, the little cylinder that pushes the brakes out on these drum brakes, is sits right about here. So I don't see or feel anything there that would indicate a leak. And I went around and checked every place on this the same way. So there's no leak here. Again, all this water on the floor is from the heat quench. These things are still a little warm. But again, feeling back here, that's all dry, and I don't see anything that looks wet. Coming around to this side, on this front wheel, this one does look a little oily. And nothing here used the heat quench. And if I feel down here on the bottom, I'll bet that's brake fluid. So what I'm thinking, because I've checked the rear and it's totally dry, I kind of feel like this wheel cylinder right there probably is our culprit of why we lost all our brake fluid. So let's go ahead and take this hub off and see if we can verify that and get a wheel cylinder ordered so we can repair this. Okay, so we'll start by taking a little plastic rubber cap off. That was pretty easy. Okay, we get our cotter pin out of there and take this big nut off. This is an 1 1/16 castle nut. We'll take that off. It's kind of nice not having to heat and quench something. So we've got a lock washer and a big flat washer. So we're almost ready to take the hub off. Okay, so again, prying this out. I saw a guy use a 3-jaw puller, and I bet that'd be pretty slick. I'd be using one, but I don't have one. Okay, and it's coming along nicely now. One of the things, like a regular car or trailer, the studs stay with the wheel. On this one, the studs are coming out with the hub. So it's kind of funny when you look at it to see if you're making progress or not. It's like, well, it hadn't moved at all, but it has moved quite a bit. And there we go. Pretty simple. Pull this off. There's the inside. And I've seen a lot of these mules end up, this spline that's in there gets ate off, these hubs. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape. Towards the back, look, actually in the front it is pretty worn out. The shaft here looks real good though. So this wheel cylinder is definitely what's leaking. If you look at it, look how much brake fluid is on that pad. And it's dripping out of there pretty good now. So what that is this cylinder right here. It's called a wheel cylinder for the brakes. And it has seals in it. There it is, look at that. Look at that run out of there. So that cylinder definitely has sprung a leak. And there's no putting seals back in those, you just have to replace the whole unit. Okay, let's try some vice grips on these. There we go. And off it comes. So a little vice grip to shove that together was a pretty nice trick. There we go. Nice. There's a nice little hack right there. Now we'll just take these off and we'll lay them. I'll just lay them in here since there's so much oil in there anyway. The nice thing is these pads look fine. So I'll get that, use some brake cleaner to get that brake fluid off of them. And we'll put this together. The nice thing is this Mule being diesel, I mean pretty much it'll stop when you let off the gas most of the time. Obviously if you're heading downhill, it won't, like we demonstrated. Okay, so here we are at the wheel cylinder. And this is all metric, and I don't have any metric line wrenches. So the closest I had was too big and too small. But I'm gonna start with this 8mm wrench, and that's gonna take this bleeder screw out. And I'm just gonna remove it completely. So that was 8mm. Now 10mm wrench is for this line. And again, it'd be best to use a line wrench on these that is closed around, hits 5 sides of the 6-sided hex. I don't have one of those, so there we go. It wasn't tight anyway, which I kind of figured it wouldn't be. This thing is old, but it really doesn't have that much abuse on it. It's been well used. Okay, I'm not going to force it. It should be free. Now, we've got 2 bolts that hold the cylinder itself in. And they are 10 millimeter also, and I'll just use a ratchet to get those out. And there we go. So here's our brake line that we've taken off. We remove those 2 bolts, and there's our cylinder. So there's the back of it. There's the side that was leaking, and this one's good. So I'm going to see if I can find one of these, and hopefully our local Napa, pretty well stocked. There's a good chance maybe they've got it. If not, I'll have to order one. Okay, we're back, and we've just got our Amazon delivery. And here is the replacement brake cylinder, and that has the correct shape. So I think we can just bolt this right up. Like the bleeder has a nice little cap there. It'll be the only one that does on this machine, but let's put this on. Okay, and the bolt holes go up. Now obviously this is critical not to cross thread this, but it seems like it lined up pretty easily. I tried to do it without putting those bolts in, and it didn't want to line up like that. So, okay, that's tightened up. So now we can come around to the front. I think I'll open the bleeder and let it kind of gravity bleed for a little while I'm working on the pads over there. Okay, let's get our pads back on. And these pads, the tabs at the top, there we go. We'll turn those where that lines up. Okay, so there's one side and the other side. Now our pin has to go through, and we have to put that clip back on. Okay, so I'm going to take this clip, I'm going to squeeze it with the vice grips so it's shut. Push that there. There we go. So now with the pin lined up, through the vice grips, and we're there. Make sure we can get our other spring on. It's 90 degrees, there we go. There we are. So everything's lined up. We can release our vice grip. Okay, and that is all completely assembled. Just gonna have to center it a little bit. Now we can slide our hub on. All right, and now with our brakes lined up, we'll slide our hub on. Okay, so I ran into a problem with getting the hub on. It was like this new cylinder was expanded a little bit. So I'm going to try to gently shove that in. Okay, I think that's in all the way. So now I'll put this back on and see if I can get this to shut. So I tried to squeeze that together with the big C-clamp, and I think it's gonna work. Now the one thing about, you have to get these splines in this drum lined up with the splines on this shaft. If your vehicle doesn't go in four-wheel drive and the front wheels don't pull, it's because the splines are ate out of this hub. Look at that, and it slides right on, and the wheel spins. So that was what it was. Pretty slick. I've seen a couple videos and nobody's explained doing that, so if you're having trouble getting your disc or your drum back on, that might be something to check out. Okay, now it's all that's left to do is put the washers and that nut back on. So there's the big flat washer, there's the lock washer, and then the castle nut. Okay, and this axle nut is supposed to be at 65 foot-pounds, so we'll get that put on here. And there it is, 65 foot-pounds. We'll put our cotter key back in it, and we'll be good. Okay, and I've always heard you should use a new cotter key anytime you put one in. And I could probably scrounge around and find one. But I think this one will be just fine. It's not like this is a high-speed highway vehicle or the space shuttle, as Terrell says. Okay, so now what we need to do is drain or bleed the brakes and make those work, so let's do that. Okay, we'll start by filling the reservoir, and then when we bleed the brakes, we leave the reservoir cap off. We've got the cobweb protection on here, all this chicken netting. Okay, so I've got a homemade vacuum brake bleeder here, and we're going to try it out. So I don't know if you can see this because I'm just doing it by feel.
There it goes.
See the bubbles coming out?
Yeah.
This thing's working pretty good.
Wow.
So keep pulling a little bit. It's got big bubbles coming out.
Yeah, I'm just kind of keeping pressure on it.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we're doing is slow, steady pressure, trying to work all the bubbles out of this. This hub is the farthest away from the reservoir. That's why I'm doing it first. Okay, stop pulling for just a second. Go look and see if...
Oh, see where we're at?
Yeah, we have fluid still in our reservoir.
Oh,
okay. Top it off, please. Yeah. Was it all the way empty? Because we just pulled more air in the system if it is.
Now that I see how deep it is.
Oh, you don't think it was empty?
No, I don't think it was empty.
Good. See, I don't know if that's air coming out of the brakes or if that's air, you know,
well,
just coming out of...
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, it's not coming from up high.
No, it's down here, but it might be coming from around that black cap because it doesn't fit super tight. Okay, I'm gonna tighten this up.
Okay. So is this stuff dead?
Huh?
The stuff we're drawing out, I said, is it dead?
Yeah, we're not pouring it back in. Look how nasty it is. That's supposed to be clear.
Oh.
That's black. Okay, now go pump the brakes and see if we have any brakes at all.
All right.
Are you there?
Yep. All right, went down.
Yep.
maybe an inch.
Okay, that's fine. Pump it back up.
Okay.
Okay. Oh. Okay, go ahead and pump it up. Okay, I'm gonna release it. Okay, go ahead and pump it up. That's got a pretty good pedal. Hold it.
Yeah.
Okay, pump it up one more time and that will do it, I think. Right? Okay, that one is done. We'll move to the front. Make sure we're full, please.
We're still full.
Okay. Okay, so here's the cap. Now let's just push the little diaphragm back down inside. And we'll put that on. Now I'll take a look at the pedal over there. Okay, so here's the pedal. Oh yeah, that feels good. That's as good as it ever was. So thank our ASE certified helper.
Pedal pusher.
Pedal pusher, exactly. So I've tried so many times to bleed these brakes with vacuum and everything else, and I just have better luck with the old school method. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Welcome to the old school.
I've got our brake reservoir cover back on. Put the wheels back on it and give it back to Patty. Anyway, these are all tightened to spec now, right off the internet, so hopefully that's the right information. All right, let's go. And she stops. That's what we're looking for.
She got brakes. I see you stripped your tomato plants.
Yeah, Greg came by and gave him a whole bag.
Yeah.
And took pepper, so he's left to make him some salsa.
Oh, there you go.
So I got a half a bucket. I might make a little salsa.
Yep. Well.
I wish I knew somebody that needed peppers, because my
Oh my God.
I got these are.
There you,
Oh, it's down the
hey. Well, you,
on a dime.
She stops.
There's a miracle.
Not a miracle.
But did you have that much trouble? I know
No.
you had all the tires off of it. I saw that.
Yeah. Well, because I had to bleed all the brakes because there was no air, you know, there was no fluid in the whole system, so I had to bleed the system out.
You see this thing?
Oh, so it leaked everything.
Yeah, this, there's a thing called a wheel cylinder
Yeah.
in all of them, but the one in that wheel, the seals went bad, and so all the brake fluid leaked out through that wheel cylinder.
Robbie, it's only 30 years old. What?
I know, I mean, the thing is that when I looked them up, this one, 30 years old, they're exactly like this today. They haven't changed it one
Well,
bit.
good for them.
Yeah.
all right. Let's see what this looks like when they take off. Perfect. Glad it's working for you.
All right, well, that does it for the Mule. It's got brakes again.
Thank God and Rob.
Good job.
All right, thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day and be safe.